Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in and checking out my latest video. Now, today's video is going to be talking about the upcoming matchup between Vasyly Lomachenko versus Jorge Linares taking place the Mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden, New York City. This is going to be an excellent card. Not only is that matchup great, we have lots of very talented fighters on the undercard. I'm going to highlight a few of guys you need to watch out for. Some of these guys, I believe, have potential superstar ability. So with no further ado, let's get right into this video and first start off with Jorge Linares and what he brings to the table in this fight. Now, when you look style-wise at Jorge Linares, he's got long arms and he really is great at utilizing his reach and effectively extending on punches. He does a very good job of that. He's never off balance, and that's a key weapon in his arsenal. I give him a lot of credit for that. Sounds easy, but it's very hard to do. Some key combinations that Linares likes to use: jab to the body. Also, you'll see him throw a jab to the body, come back up to the head. Works the head-body combinations excellently. He has vicious uppercuts, and versus southpaws, his left hook is a very effective weapon for him. So I'm looking forward to see what strategy he has in this fight versus Lomachenko. He starts off always very fast. Linares is aggressive, very exciting fighter, world-class skills, amazing hand speed. So this is a real talented fighter. And he's going to be the bigger man versus Lomachenko in this fight. And I also believe he has better hand speed or some of his advantages. And also that reach. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lomachenko deals with that in this matchup. Now, when I talk about all the great things that Linares does and his kind of style that he brings to the fight, I also kind of a big issue I believe in this fight for Linares is unfortunately his coach Ismail Salas is overtraining David Haye in the UK for his fight versus Tony Bellew. So he will not be in Linares' corner for this fight, and I thought he's done an excellent job of building Linares up from that DeMarco loss, and I thought he's really improved Linares' mental ability, also the skill set he uses in the ring. So for this fight, ultimately, Jorge Linares' brother is going to be training him for this matchup, and I think that's a huge mistake, and I'm going to tell you guys why. So part of Linares' team, he has Rudy Hernandez. If you guys aren't familiar with Rudy Hernandez, he's been in the sport of boxing for years. He used to spar with Tommy Hearns back in the day. His brother, Gennaro Hernandez, he trained. Excellent fighter. When you also look at some achievements Rudy Hernandez had, excellent strategy, really gives great advice in the corner. For example, if you go back to Mike Alvarado versus Brandon Rios too, he got Alvarado to box very smart, and he had a great strategy for that fight against Rios, a fight that a lot of people did not think that Alvarado would pull off. Not only that, more recently, Carlos Cuadras versus Roman Gonzalez, he was the head trainer for that fight, and you saw how good of a fight that was, and some people thought Carlos Cuadras won that fight, and I thought that they had a great game plan for that matchup. Ultimately, I thought Roman Gonzalez was enough to win that fight, in my opinion, but Rudy Hernandez, excellent trainer and a world-class cutman. So the good thing, though, for Linares' team is Linares bleeds a lot in all of his fights, so at least he's going to have Rudy Hernandez being the cutman in this corner, and he's going to be able to not worry too much about that because Rudy Hernandez is the best in the business. If he can't stop your cut, then, it's not going to be stopped. There's nothing more you can do about it, really. So, interesting kind of dynamic and a huge storyline, in my opinion, on this fight. Now, I look at Vasily Lomachenko and what he brings to the table in this fight. Lomachenko he's a master in the ring. His footwork is incredible. The ability to slip punches, the way he shifts his body side to side, and creates angles doing that is insane, and it's super hard for his opponents to get a read on him. The way he disguises his attacks, incredible, and it goes to show you, of course, his amateur pedigree. His father's a mastermind, and he's a counter puncher as well at times. He'll be aggressive, works the body. This guy really does it all. It's incredible. And the only time we've really ever seen Lomachenko struggle throughout his career was when he fought Salido. Of course, Salido came in heavy for that fight, and pressure was kind of the weakness in that matchup. But also there was a lot of low blows and different factors. But the strength and size, I think, did give Lomachenko some issues, which if you're Linares' team, that's got to kind of be a reassuring factor, in my opinion, the only time I've really seen him struggle. Now, when I look at this fight, and I want to talk about some advantages that Vasily has over Linares, Vasily in this fight has advantages in the following categories, in my opinion. footwork, movement, defensively, and also his versatility on offense and defense, and the way he also, I would say, disguises attacks. He's very, very hard to gauge what he does. And the way he breaks his opponent's guard, also using hand movement, also creating space with his elbows. Those are things that, in my opinion, Jorge Linares is going to have to deal with, and I think that's going to frustrate him a lot in this fight because if you go back and look at Jorge Linares in his career, when I look at some key points when we're talking about Linares, Linares has struggled in the past versus southpaws, right? And Lomachenko is a southpaw. So Linares, he lost to DeMarco, and his fight versus Luke Campbell, he was completely dominant in the first half of the fight. Now, Luke Campbell, in my opinion, almost swept all the rounds in the second half of that fight. And I thought that Luke Campbell broke up the rhythm of Jorge Linares. He landed some counter punches and he backed Linares up. And Linares at times was letting him dictate the pace and letting him get away with what he wanted. Now, the thing is, Luke Campbell is bigger than Lomachenko. I'm talking reach wise. And that is also a key factor as well in this fight. But I think that ultimately in this matchup, I see it in the following way. I think that Linares is going to come out very well early in that matchup. Lomachenko is going to collect data on him, figure out what he's doing, then figure out how to frustrate him. And I think that in this matchup, because of the struggles that Linares has had in the past versus southpaws, very talented southpaw, by the way, in Luke Campbell, DeMarco, and also without his head trainer, I have to give the edge in this fight, in my opinion, to Lomachenko due to the way his style is. I think he's going to frustrate Linares, and also his constant shots, I think, are going to cut Linares in this fight. And I'm also picking, I think, Lomachenko to win a decision in this matchup because I feel that unless Linares has a massive cut and that's how the fight's going to get stopped, it will be a systematic kind of beating. But it's going to be interesting to see how this fight unfolds early on, especially if Linares is able to hit Lomachenko with his left hook consistently, because that's a key punch that he likes to use against southpaws. And if he's able to get off some combinations at all against Lomachenko and work the body and maybe even pressure him, maybe that's a strategy they're going to implement as well. As I said, Salido had success with it, but Salido's also a way different fighter. He's a lot more rugged, and he fights lower to the ground. He gets a lot of traction that way than Linares is. So in my opinion, guys, ultimately, I look at this fight. I think that Lomachenko has too much of a boxing IQ, in my opinion, for Linares. And he's just a special fighter. Linares is a great fighter, but I think that Lomachenko is just a master. And it's going to be a great fight, though very technical, I think. And it's just going to be interesting to see kind of the maneuvers that Linares is going to implement in this fight, and also how Lomachenko is going to deal with the size. Size is a huge issue in boxing, no matter how talented you are. Sometimes size does play a factor, and I'm going to be interested to see the reach advantage, how long it takes Vasily to kind of gauge that, use some different feints, things like that to get Linares off his rhythm. So in this fight, guys, I do have Vasily Lomachenko by unanimous decision in this fight. Also, Linares has to be very careful in this matchup that he doesn't pull back with his head straight aligned. You'll see him do that. He pulls back, like just back like this with his head straight away, no head movement at all. And Lomachenko will eat that up all day long. So he's got to watch out for that. Ultimately, I got Lomachenko by unanimous decision. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.